So this is our larynx. This is a cartilage. It's called the hyoid. Excuse me, that's the thyroid cartilage. This part right here where it's smooth is the lamina propria of the thyroid, and the lesser cornu and the greater cornu. This is quite a bit bigger than you'd find on a person. An adult has these are the vocal folds, and the adult vocal folds are 12 millimeters average on a woman and 15 millimeters on a male. And this that's about probably the width of my fingernail is the whole entire length of the vocal folds. So this maybe is the size of orangutan vocal folds, or quite a bit bigger than human vocal folds. This piece down here is the cricoid cartilage, and that fits on the trachea. Here's my make-do trachea, the windpipe going down into the lungs. The cricoid sits right there on top of the trachea, and it's shaped kind of like a signet ring, and it's shorter in the front and taller in the back. And on top of the cricoid cartilage are these little kind of pyramid shaped cartilage. You can kind of see them in here. They're white here with these orange tips. The white part is the arytenoid cartilage, and the tip is the corniculate cartilage. And they work together to make our voice. This is the epiglottis, and it would attach here on the thyroid as well as on the tongue. So if this was the tongue, it would be out like this. This is to the front. This is the part that is the Adam's apple on a male. This angle here is about 120 degrees, and so this would be more a female, which is a softer angle and less visible outside the externally on the neck. Males have about a 90-degree angle. So that would be the front of this. So this would be a person facing us. We're looking at the front, and the epiglottis would fit down here. When people are born, this part, the larynx, is quite a bit higher, and so you can actually see the tip of the epiglottis if you looked all the way back in the back of their mouth, peeking up in their throat. And the epiglottis is to protect this glottis, epi, above, glottis. So it's going to go above this glottis and protect it, so that when it's time to swallow food, the larynx goes up, which pushes the epiglottis down, and it covers up our glottis so that the food goes right over the back of the glottis and down into the esophagus, which would be right here, right next to it. This is the hyoid bone, and it is not connected to any other bone. It's only connected to muscles, and it goes right here above the thyroid cartilage. This is that thyroid cartilage, and this is the hyoid bone. It also has little horns and points, and these come back and are really close to the greater horns on this thyroid. This part right here, if this was a little door, it'd be called the additus, and here above the vocal folds is the vestibule. This piece here is muscle. Well, it's not muscle. It's tissue that fits over these cartilages, and it covers up the arytenoid cartilages. It creates another layer on top of the vocal folds, and these are called the false vocal folds, or sorry, the laryngeal, hold on. Ventricular fold, laryngeal ventricle. So this false vocal fold is the ventricular fold, and the space underneath it in between the true vocal fold and the false vocal fold is the laryngeal ventricle. And in that, there's a saccule that has that creates mucus to keep these vocal folds moist. They need to be moist, or there will be more damage to them. On the underneath, there's another cartilage called the cuneiform cartilage, and that gives this strength and its shape. It gives it some body. On the inside here, so again, this is the front. This is where the tongue would be, right here. So behind here, by the epiglottis, there are folliculae, these little creases that are behind the opening here. This epiglottis attaches onto the thyroid and onto the back of the tongue, and these are folliculae. These creases on this side, either side of this is the epiglottic membrane, are the pyriform sinuses, And I will take this off so we can see how the vocal folds work together. So this orange part goes from the thyroid cartilage to the vocal process, which is the point on this. On this arytenoid cartilage. This thyrovocalis is in charge of tensing the fine-tuning of the tension on the vocal folds. This one right next to it is the thyromuscularis, which is this is a muscular process of the arytenoid cartilage. This one here on the side, it's on the side of the cricoid. It goes up to this muscular process on the arytenoid, and that is the main adductor of the vocal folds. It's the main opener, and it pivots these arytenoids up and out and opens up that space as it pulls on them. So it kind of flips them up and out. These ones make it. These thyrovocalis tense the vocal fold, which would increase the fundamental frequency. The other thing that would increase the fundamental frequency as well as the pitch of the voice, there's muscles in between this cricoid and the thyroid, the pars recta and the pars oblique, and those would those pull this thyroid closer to the cricoid, and on the inside, as it pulls this way, as it pulls out and articulates with this cricoid, it kind of rotates here, it's gonna stretch these vocal folds, increasing their tension and increasing the pitch. This on the back side, these are the posterior cricoid arytenoids, and they are the only abductors. And I remember it because if something is abducted, it's taken away. And so these abduct by pulling on this muscular process of the arytenoids, and when it pulls on them, it rotates them up and out and creates that space for breathing and for the cessation of phonation. These crisscross ones are the oblique arytenoids. They're in charge of, as you can see, as it's going to pull on the bottom to the top up here, and it's going to pull these and rotate rotate these vocal folds in, and that would cause increased tension there. And this is the thyromuscularis again, connecting to the thyroid and the muscular process. And if these ones get pulled, if these ones tense, then it pulls the arytenoids this way, and it relaxes those vocal folds. The last one is this transverse arytenoid, and it pulls the arytenoids medially and increases the medial tension on those vocal folds. Jitter, and I remember it because the jitterbug, and it affects the voice, it makes it hoarse. And vocal nodules down here can cause that from when they are going in and out. If it happens, it should happen at a regular frequency. And I show them going in and out like that, but the real motion is from the Bernoulli effect, and they're kind of flapping like this in the air from our lungs. This being the posterior, or the lower part, and this being the upper part, and the air blows through them. This, they open from, again, this is the front. They open from the back to the front and then close. You can see it's kind of a V, so it makes sense that it closes from the front to the back. And when the air is blowing through, it hits at the, it's going to open the bottom first, and then the bottom closes first too. Shimmer, so jitter is when that cycle, the fundamental frequency cycle, is not the same. The shimmer, and I remember it by the sound of this gong, which is loud, and that's when the intensity of the fundamental frequency is not stable. Let me see what else we were supposed to talk about. I think I've got it all. So this is how it would fit in the body. And that is all.